This is the Troll Patrol. Live. With Justin. FREAKIN.
My apologies for not coming on sooner. This is day four of the Senate trial of Donald J. Trump and the impeachment proceedings. The defense just started making their case and it's already fucking batshit. They played a video that had this magical, like, whimsical music under Trump talking, and then they would cut to videos of Democrats talking, and it had the most ominous music under it. Then they'd flip back to President Trump, and it was whimsical music. I'm glad Media Winch has power today. It's going to be interesting. Also, this guy claimed that the leader of Antifa, I didn't know Antifa had a leader, but he claims that the leader of Antifa was the first person arrested in association with these riots. So, it's already off the rails. Let's pick it up.
There needs to be a...
Oh, I fucked that up, didn't I?
The current Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, urged supporters to donate to a...
He just purposely mispronounced her name.
...violent rioters and arsonists out of jail.
Apparently, the Trump defense team had meetings with Mike Lee, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz last night. And it's kind of obvious if you listen to what they've been saying.
Of the violent demonstrations, everyone beware. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. They're not going to let up, and they should not.
My favorite part was when they were playing the clips of Democrats
hundreds of police officers
objecting to the certification of electoral votes in 2016, and I'm like, well, the Democrats were right, weren't they?
A man claiming
look what happened.
By the junior senator from Vermont came down here.
Oh, he's going to bring up the shooting of Scalise now.
Game and kill as many senators and congressmen as he could.
Inspired by Bernie Sanders' message of Medicare for all. Sure.
The senior senator from Maine has had her house surrounded by angry mobs of protesters. When that happened and unnerved her,
I bet.
One of the House managers, I forget.
When she voted to confirm Brett Kavanaugh, it unnerved me.
Under the standards of the House impeachment article, each of these individuals should be retroactively censored, expelled, punished, or impeached for inciting violence by their supporters. Unlike the left, President Trump has been entirely consistent.
No, he hasn't.
In opposition to mob violence. He opposes it in all forms, in all places. Just as he's been consistent that the national...
Well, that makes sense, Breed Creed.
...protect American communities wherever protection is needed. For Democrats, they have clearly demonstrated that their opposition to mobs and their view of using the National Guard depends upon the mob's political views.
No.
Not only is this impeachment case preposterously wrong on the facts, no matter how...
This is the first time we're hearing from Michael Vanderveen.
...rejected by the political opposition.
We heard from Castor and Schoen on Tuesday.
In effect, Congress would be claiming that the right to disqualify a private citizen, no longer a government official, from running for public office. This would transform the solemn impeachment process into a mechanism for asserting...
Oh yeah, I'm on the wrong monitor. My bad.
...over which private citizens are and are not allowed to run for president.
We're not talking about Jake the Snake here.
In short, this unprecedented effort is not about Democrats opposing political violence. It is about Democrats trying to disqualify their political opposition. It is constitutional cancel culture.
Constitutional cancel culture.
History will record this.
The fuck does that even mean?
As a deliberate attempt by the Democrat Party to smear, censor, and cancel not just President Trump, but the 75 million Americans who voted for him. Now is not the time for such a campaign of retribution. It is the time for unity and healing and focusing on the interests of the nation as a whole. We should all be seeking to cool temperatures, calm passions, rise.
I didn't hear bejesus, but he did indeed say resurrection instead of insurrection
The Senate
earlier.
should reject this divisive and unconstitutional effort and allow the nation to move forward.
I was amused by that. Apparently Trump is unable to incite a resurrection,
We'll
and
hear
I would agree with
next
that.
from Mr. Schoen, who's going to talk about due process and a couple other points you'll be interested to hear. I'll return with an analysis of why the First Amendment must be properly applied here. And then Mr. Castro.
Virtually all legal scholars agree First Amendment does not apply here.
And then we'll be pleased to answer your questions. Thank you.
We've got Media Winch loading in here. I don't have a picture for her yet. There's the winch! Do mic check. Are you there?
Test, test.
Yes, we have Media Winch. Welcome.
Test, test.
Oh, I bet you can't hear me. Hold on. I bet you couldn't hear me. That was the problem.
I couldn't hear you. That's fine.
I'm sorry. I didn't unmute myself on Zoom. Everything else is set to go though. Welcome, Media Winch, joining us from the West Coast. It's still early. You got your coffee?
Yes, I do. I have a delicious iced coffee.
Mr. Schoen,
Ooh, awesome.
leaders, senators,
It's cold here. I would not be drinking an iced coffee.
explain in some detail the simple fact that President Trump did not incite the horrific, terrible riots of January 6th.
You can't hear showing, right?
Demonstrate that, to the contrary,
can, yes.
the
Awesome.
violence and looting goes against the law and order message he conveyed to every citizen of the United States throughout his presidency.
Have you caught any of the proceedings thus far?
On January 6th.
I saw the part
First,
were
though,
showing all of the
we would like to discuss the hatred
clips of all the
vitriol,
Democratic senators
political
trying to
opportunism
contest the
that has brought us
2016
here today.
thing.
You notice the whimsical music under Trump
Managers and other
and the very ominous music under the Democrats, right?
Given them to skip the basic elements
Just one
of
thing
due
that I would
process
like to say about
and fairness,
anytime they're
and
going
to
to
rush an
play
impeachment through the House claiming
videos of
quote,
Trump
urgency.
saying the same shit over and
But the
over and
House
over
waited to deliver
again.
the articles
Like,
to the
he's the
Senate for almost 2
gaslighter
weeks.
in chief.
Only after the Democrats had
So,
secured control over the Senate.
That's how
In
he
fact,
gets you.
contrary
That's
to
like
their
fucking
claim that the
programming.
only
That's how
reason
we,
they held
like,
it was
that's
because
the
Senator
classic,
McConnell
you know,
wouldn't accept the article.
Scientology cult
Representatives applied for an
indoctrination
impeachment,
fucking
they had
shit.
considered
Well, there's a name for it, isn't there? It's like mob speak, where they say something to you and they imply it, but they're not actually saying it so that they can't be charged with it.
Yeah, that's
Our
like tactics from
Constitution and any basic sense of
Goodfellas.
fairness
That's
Mm-hmm.
like,
required that every legal process
Well, I mean, he really did act like a mob boss. He had his fixer, Michael Cohen.
impeachment
but it's like a movie mob
requires
boss.
due
It's like not a
process under
real
the law,
mob boss.
which
Like a
includes
real mob
fact-finding
boss,
and the
you wouldn't
establishment
ever
of a
even fucking
legitimate
see him in order to
evidentiary
ask
record
him fucking
with an
stupid
appropriate
questions.
Foundation.
Like the real guy is like,
Even last year's impeachment followed committee
Talks to, like,
hearings
maybe
and
3
months of
people, you know?
examination and investigation.
he's
by
like the
House.
fucking underling they
Here,
send out to get into
President Trump and
shenanigans.
his counsel
To get into shenanigans.
to review
Right, the
evidence
lightning rod
and
that
question its
like
propriety.
keeps everybody else from getting
The rush
put in
to
jail
judgment
because he's
for
like
a
busy
snap
doing so much
impeachment
stupid
in
shit.
this case was
Now,
fair.
I would watch a show that was done Sopranos style that was Trump's therapist,
Another perhaps even more vitally significant
giving us like an insight into his psyche.
denial
That
of
would be
any
pretty funny.
opportunity
I would eat that shit up.
to test
My
the
stepdad just
integrity of
finished
the
watching The
evidence
Sopranos the
offered
other day.
against Donald J. Trump.
It's been years since 15 years since I was, like, when they actually went off the air, so
Yeah.
I don't remember much about the show.
Oh my god, I've watched that whole show like, I don't know, 25 times from me.
I remember liking the first season a lot better than all the subsequent seasons. Like, they kind of got away from the initial premise of the show, of it being a lot about Tony's psyche,
Right.
Uh,
and it became just, you know, another, like, dramedy.
This footage never seen before. Shouldn't the subject of an impeachment trial, this impeachment trial, President Trump, have the right to see the so-called new evidence against him?
He's asking about why we haven't seen the Capitol security footage, which hasn't been released to the public yet. That's the reason why we had nenever seen the footage.
Shouldn't the American people
'Cause they wanted to
have
save it
seen
for the
this footage
trial.
as soon as it was available? For what possible reason do the House managers with
I mean, I'm assuming it would have been available if somebody had, you know, did a FOIA request. They just didn't know it was available.
Right.
Didn't know it
Or
existed
they're-
yet.
Yeah, or they're just fucking, yeah, or it's still under review to make sure that, you know, they didn't fucking miss anything. It's only been, it hasn't even been a month.
It's been just over a month.
Oh, just over a month. Not that wasn't on the 20th, it was on the 6th. But yeah, you know what I mean. It's just,
House Manager Raskin told us
was
all
just
yesterday
like not too long
that
ago.
your
We see
job as
fucking
jurors
police
in
body
this
cam
case
footage
is
of
a
them like killing
fact-intensive
people.
job.
We don't get to see it for
But of
like
course,
2 years.
several of the House
Well, that depends. If the footage makes the cops' case, they'll release it immediately. If it doesn't make the cops' case,
called for a
it will be years before you ever see it.
the
Fair.
events of January.
I know for a fact if they think it backs them up, they release that shit lightning
is
fast.
needed to determine the causes of the events. She says it herself. If an inquiry of that magnitude is needed to determine the causes of the riot,
I don't think an inquiry of that magnitude is needed. I think we know the cause of the riot.
Democrats have the certainty needed.
I posted a meme. What was it? What did it say the other day? It was perfect.
They don't. The House managers, facing a significant lack of evidence, turned often to press reports and rumors.
Who inspired the Trump supporters leaving the Trump rally wearing Trump gear and chanting Trump, Trump, Trump? We may never know.
In fact, they even relied on the words of Andrew Feinberg, a reporter who recently worked for Sputnik.
Gee, who could it have been?
propaganda outlet.
Who could it have been?
By the way, the report they cited was completely
And the fact they say it was Democrats, despite the fact that we know that
unproven media reports.
people like the QAnon shaman have said, like, oh, we were following the orders of Trump. They've said it in court documents.
We don't know yet about what happened.
Uh-oh, now they're
According to those around
showing us clips of
time-
Democrats again. Oh, fuck.
Reports across all major media outlets
major news networks, including Fox News, reportedly summoned, reportedly not accidental. According to reports, President Trump was
Oh, God, they're going to take issue with the word reported.
was widely reported.
media reports,
According to reports,
reportedly.
As any trial lawyer will tell you, reportedly is a euphemism for I have no real evidence.
Oh, my God.
It's not the standard in any American
dude.
setting in which any semblance of due process is afforded.
I don't know if you know this, but they had a meeting last night with Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Mike Lee,
Circumstantial evidence.
What?
It is exactly as reliable as
the Trump lawyers,
for you. And if you're
because
worried
they were trying to
you might
coach
never be
them. So
tried
that's why you're seeing a
based
little
on
more of a
this type of evidence,
attack dog stance from them.
you get more due
Trump
process
liars.
in this when you fight a parking ticket. One reason due process is so important with respect to evidence offered against an accused is that it requires an opportunity to test the integrity, the credibility, the reliability of the evidence. Here, of course,
I'll try my best not to make fun of him if he takes a drink of water, because we found out that is a religious
and
thing,
it turns out there is significant
and that either he has to cover his head because he doesn't have a yarmulke on, or that he's
have put before us.
conditioned himself to put his, because he's bald, his yarmulke falls off. He's conditioned himself to hold his yarmulke when he takes a drink of something. So that's what he's doing when he touches his head.
If they did,
Right.
and this were a court of law,
I think it was one of your friends that told me that.
sanctions from the judge.
Yeah, it was.
I
Phil.
don't raise this
I
issue.
appreciate the insight.
Rather, it is a product
I
of
had
what
no
we
idea.
have found
Yeah, I didn't either.
And it's funny
time
because half my
we
family
have
is
had
Jewish.
since we first saw the evidence.
Yeah, but like there's different shades of Jew.
Yeah,
have
they're
reason to
not.
believe
They're not practicing.
that the
Like,
Yeah, you got to get into that orthodoxy shit to be like have to wear the
Lack of due
yarmulke and
process means
No,
there was
the
no
Jews in my
opportunity
family don't
to
have time for
review
that shit.
or verify the accuracy. Consider these facts.
They just don't.
I don't have the brains for that shit.
Proud of their work on the snap impeachment, staged numerous photo shoots
Dun, dun,
of their
dun.
preparations. In one of those, Manager Raskin is seen here at his desk reviewing two tweets side by side. The image on his screen claims to show that President Trump had retweeted one of those tweets. Now, members of the Senate, let's look closely at this screen, because obviously Manager Raskin considered it important enough that he invited the New York Times to watch him watching it. Now, what's wrong with this image? Actually, there are three things very wrong with it. Look at the date on the very bottom of the screen on Manager Raskin's computer screen when we zoom in to the picture. The date that appears is
January 3rd.
2020, not 2021. Why is that date wrong? Because this is not a real screenshot that he's working with. This is a recreation of a tweet. And you got the date wrong when you manufactured this graphic. You did
Oh
not
my
disclose
God.
a
What?
manufactured graphic and not a real screenshot of a tweet. Now, to be fair, the House managers caught this error before showing the image on the Senate floor. So you never saw it when it was presented to you. But that's not all. They didn't fix this one. Look at the blue check mark next to the Twitter username of the account retweeted by the president. It indicates that this is a verified account, given the blue check by Twitter to indicate it is run by a public figure. The problem? The user's real account is not verified and has no blue check mark, as you can see. Were
Why would that matter?
account seem more significant, or were you just sloppy?
What if she's gotten a blue check mark since then?
We would know the truth. But that's not all.
Like
that's wrong with
Marjorie
just
Taylor
one
Greene
tweet.
didn't have a fucking blue check mark
House
until
Manager
after she was
Swalwell
elected
showed
to
you
Congress,
this tweet
right?
this week, and he emphasized that this tweet reflected a call to arms. He told you repeatedly that this was a promise to call in the cavalry for January 6th. He expressly led you to believe that President Trump's supporter believed that the president wanted armed supporters at the January 6th speech.
Well, they did a good job of laying that out, though.
Ready for physical combat. The problem is, the actual text is exactly the opposite. The tweeter promised to bring the Calvary, a public display of Christ's crucifixion, a central symbol of her Christian faith.
Whoa!
The president's
Right-winger that
speech.
can't spell.
A symbol of faith, love, and peace. They just never want to seem to read the
Get
text.
the fuck out.
and believe
with
what the
this
text means.
bullshit.
You'll see this reported in the media. Like,
And they made the Jew get up and say that?
words matter, they told you. But they selectively edited the president's words over and over again.
Dude, they are reaching.
Clips and made it appear the president's words.
And I do not expect them. This might be their only day of testimony. It might only go for 4 or 5 hours. They've got 16 hours. I doubt they're going to use them.
No, that's the plan. They're only gonna do 3 or 4 hours.
To
And that's
the
it.
Capitol, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Well, as the schedule stands, we're supposed to have the Trump lawyers presentation tomorrow that might get moved up. There's supposed to be questions from the senators on Sunday. We're looking to vote on Monday or Tuesday. But all that could get moved up because the president's lawyers are incompetent and are going to cut this off early today.
We have come
I mean, you
to
can
demand
only
that
keep
Congress
this fucking shit show
do the
up for a
right
couple of
thing.
hours anyway, right?
and only count the electors.
I'm actually amazed at the quality of the videos they've been showing.
lawfully
Can you
slain.
imagine them trying to keep up this
know that
like
everyone here will soon be
nitpicking bullshit
marching
up
over
for
to the Capitol
16
building.
hours?
To peacefully and
I mean, I wouldn't put it past Republicans.
your voices heard.
and we are going to
I've argued for days on end with them, and they just keep repeating the same shit over and over again. That's the way they all argue.
I know.
to cheer on some members of Congress and not others.
Also, if you're in the chat last night, I hopped into somebody's stream last night. I've got the video. I'm gonna put that up on YouTube later on today. What was that guy's name? You sent him to me.
Benjamin Martin.
Benjamin Martin. I hopped on his stream last night, and it was quite interesting. I didn't last very long, unfortunately.
Cheer on some members of Congress, but not others.
You start calling them dumb fucks, and they kick you out.
So they edited it down.
I'll talk to anybody until you start insulting me.
We heard a lot this week about fight like hell.
I shouldn't have insulted them. I should have kept going because I was like I had them stumped.
Words that followed immediately after.
We fight like hell, and if you don't.
But also I had work to do, so I was like, "And you're dumb fucks."
Yeah, I gotta go. This is like an in and out.
Have not yet begun. My fellow Americans.
I just wanted to promote my shirt on their show.
Our children.
Right wingers or morons. You can get that at the Freakin shop. Link in the description.
I'll be spending some of my neat bucks on some of those. Did they come in like a 4XL?
I don't know how. I've got to start getting a 1X now.
Quote, like one of the House managers said.
My shirts are too small on me.
Halfway around the world.
Well, I want to get one for my
before the
stepdad.
truth has a
And my
chance to put
stepdad
its shoes on.
is a large human.
Well, this
Ooh.
lie traveled around the world.
I do not know how big they come.
The Biden campaign.
I know they got 2X. I know that for sure.
The Charlottesville lie. Very fine people. On
Charlottesville lie.
Except that isn't all he said. And they knew it then, and they know it now. Watch this.
But you also had people.
But nobody cares about what else he said. He said very fine people on both sides. It was a neo-Nazi rally. One side was neo-Nazis. That's what we're taking issue with, sir.
Had people
Yeah.
in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue.
That's not true.
Of a park from
Well, I mean, they were there to protest the statue, but they were neo-Nazis. They weren't just average Joes there about the statue that care about Robert E. Lee. And as I pointed out on the dude's stream last night, Robert E. Lee did not want Confederate monuments because he said it would just create more strife. And I'm paraphrasing. It would continue the strife of the country. And like something like retard our healing or some shit like that.
You rehash old wounds. It's just not good for society to put up monuments to mistakes. That doesn't make any sense.
Why might an entire group of people think that their lives don't matter? I don't know. We have fucking statues to their oppressors every fucking where.
Right.
Absolutely unfairly.
And even the ones that do
the
matter
other group
were
also
created under
had some
duress
fine
from
people, but you
fucking
also had
slaves and
troublemakers.
like there's that
You
Andrew
see
Jackson
them come with
statue,
the black
right? There's
outfits
an Andrew Jackson
and the
statue
helmets
that
and the
was
baseball bats. You got a lot of bad.
No, you're talking about the one with Lincoln where he's got the slaves and they're like bowing down to him, right?
no.
Oh,
There's
okay.
There were people in that
There,
rally.
I can't remember. I'll have to do some more research on it. And I'll have to,
Okay, there's a statue of Lincoln somewhere that people want taken down, not because it's Lincoln, but because like the slaves are like literally bowing to him and looking up at him. It is a white savior piece of shit.
The following day, it
Yes.
looked like they had some rough, bad people, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call
But now
them.
right wingers will just say like, oh, they want to take down statues of Lincoln. He freed the slaves. That's how stupid they are.
Protest because you know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, they had a permit. The other group didn't.
Cancel culture.
So I only tell you this: there are two sides to a story.
obsessed with
What
cancel
took
culture.
place was
It
a
was cancel culture when that dude kicked me out of his Zoom room.
horrible moment.
Hell yeah, it was.
But there are two sides to the country. Does anybody have a final? Does anybody have?
They're still playing this?
This might be today the first time the news networks played those full remarks in their.
Oh, bullshit.
And how many times have you heard that President Trump has never denounced white supremacists? Now you in America know the truth. Here's another example.
That he never has because they're his fucking followers.
Supposedly
Dude.
Yeah, I'm completely sober. You're talking to me completely sober right now.
to fight. But you knew what the president really meant. He meant
That doesn't happen very often.
action from members of
This
Congress
is
and support primary challenges.
wake
to
and
those
bake,
who
motherfucker.
don't do what he considers.
I'm trying.
Support primary challenges, not violent action. I know what he meant.
Can I show you my
because
pretty
I
new
watched the
bong?
full video.
No.
So did the House managers, but they manipulated.
Oh, yeah, you did show me that. I love
to
that.
see where they stopped it, and to give it a very different meaning. For from the meaning it has in full context. Let's watch.
Yeah, I made you send me a picture, and I showed it on the stream.
That's true. I remember now.
Uh-oh, let's see what they got to say about Nagoose here.
He told them.
You have to get your people to fight. And if they don't fight, we have to primary the hell out of the ones that don't fight. You primary them. We're gonna let you know who they are. I can already tell you, frankly.
How does that change anything?
The people who need to fight are members of Congress. Why did we have to skip the necessary due diligence and due process of law and any legal proceeding should have? It couldn't have been the urgency to get President Trump out of office. House Democrats held the articles until he was no longer president, mooting their case. Hatred.
They covered this yesterday.
Division. Political gain.
The Senate was not in session.
And
McConnell would not. They tried to give the articles to McConnell. McConnell said
President
nope.
Trump is the best enemy to attack.
I want to say this for Donald Trump, who I may well be voting to impeach.
Donald Trump has already done a number of things which legitimately raise the question of impeachment.
I don't respect this president, and I will fight every day.
Thank you. They were right. They were right all along. Thank you.
Those are grounds to start impeachment. Those are grounds to start impeachment proceedings. Yes, I think that's grounds to start impeachment proceedings.
Allow me to go refill my bong with ice.
Oh, well,
Hold down the fort.
Of the President of the United States of America.
I continue to say,
I
impeach
love
him!
Maxine Waters.
Impeach 45! Impeach 45!
So we're calling upon the House to begin impeachment hearings immediately.
On the impeachment, Donald Trump, would you vote yes or no?
I would vote yes. I would vote to impeach.
Because
I'd vote.
we're going to impeach the mother.
Oh, there's my wafu.
Articles of impeachment in July of 2017.
If we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected.
My oath requires me to be for impeachment, have an impeachment hearing. He needs the scarlet eye on his
Rashida Tlaib is one of the most badass women walking the planet.
It is time to
Mother
bring
Elizabeth.
impeachment charges against him. Bring impeachment charges.
My personal view is that he richly deserves impeachment.
I'm here at an impeachment rally, and we are ready to
Mwah.
impeach the
Motherfucker!
Well, we can impeach him every day of the week for anything he does.
And we should have.
Yeah.
That same hatred and anger has led
Should have stopped Amy Coney Barrett from getting seated on the Supreme Court by impeaching him in the fall.
Any
The House manager
single
spoke about rhetoric,
day
about a constant
that
drumbeat
Trump
of
came
heated
out
language.
and opened his fucking mouth
Well, as
and
I'm
gave
sure
a fucking
every-
rally or a speech or any fucking bullshit under any other president would have been an impeachable fucking offense. Honestly.
I mean, if we're holding him to the Clinton standard, he committed impeachable offense every day.
Absolutely.
Gotta be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Nicole Wallace. Nicole Wallace. Did you ever see Game Change?
Feel like punching him.
Was that the one about the McCain campaign in 08?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's been a long, long time.
It was such a great movie. Nicole Wallace was the lady that was the assistant to Sarah Palin.
Wait a minute, did they just show Johnny Depp?
Did they?
I think they did. So, like, Johnny Depp speaks on behalf of the Democrats?
I got your stream up in another window. It's about 30 seconds behind. I can look.
There's Madonna.
Get up in the face of some Congress people.
Yep, that was Johnny Depp.
People will do what they do.
Because we're all listening to Johnny Depp and fucking Madonna. And for God's sakes, they bring up Madonna? Madonna has been, like, our generation makes fun of Madonna.
Yeah.
Well, this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful.
Well, it depends on if it's us or Dave. Like, Dave is like, Match Queen.
Oh, Dave loves Madonna?
Oh, yeah, because disco.
He's a Gen Xer, though. Right?
I am also a Gen Xer. I'm 40.
Oh, my God! You guys are the last of the Gen Xers. I'm the first of the millennials. Because we're not that far separated.
No, I was born in September 1980.
Every single day. I'm a fighter.
I was born on Labor Day.
That doesn't make you a millennial? I thought it was like 80 on. Is it 82?
It's like a cusper, but I claim Gen X. Fuck it.
Oh, okay.
We stand up and we fight back. We don't back down.
Since it all barely anything.
I proudly wear millennial. But there's a big difference between me, the first of the millennials, and like some of my friends that I went back to school later on in life, and they're the last of the millennials.
And that's what it's about.
There's a big age gap there.
We are going to fight back. We are not turning this country over.
Star Wars, the last of the millennials.
We are just upset, and they're right to be upset. Now we can.
It really is like Star Wars, the dividing line. If your first Star Wars was the reboots, you might be a Gen Zer.
Because we will not forget. We do not want to forget. We will use that vision to make sure that we fight harder, we fight tougher.
I just don't understand the point they're trying to make, but I think they're really just killing time.
Right. How many deadly insurrections did any of this speech cause?
Now this is legitimate protected speech where they're using colloquial terms.
Yeah.
Trump, on the other hand, legitimately wanted them to go to the Capitol and storm it and stop the vote. We know this. They prove this.
Yes.
I am fighting. Get in this fight. Get
You're
in
fighting.
this fight.
I love fucking Mother Elizabeth, though. Don't get me wrong.
And fighting. We all need to be in the fight. We stay in this fight.
I've gone back and forth on her.
There's a documentary that I watched called Maxed Out. And
It's about the credit card industry?
Hmm?
Is it about the credit card industry?
Yes. And I found that one after the first or second time that I watched the first Zeitgeist movie.
Oh my god, the Zeitgeist movies.
Right, but it got me interested in like the financial stuff of how our money works, right? So I ended up watching Maxed Out, and that's the first time I saw Elizabeth Warren, and I was just like, my heart.
Oh, I mean, I appreciate the fact that like she was a hardcore Republican when she was a college professor, and like she has changed drastically because she's seen what the system has done to people.
Right.
So I appreciate that. Also, Winch, please hold down the fort a little longer. Allow me to head to the kitchen. I think I might make, I'd started to make coffee and then I didn't. And I think I might make some coffee since you're here to hold everything down. I'll be right back.
I have a little experience.
Now they're going to have to actually fight back.
And my system is loud. I can talk over this shit without you having a side chain.
We have been fighting. I was fighting very hard. Time is of the essence, both in terms of the fight. I think we should be fighting.
Well, I really believe we need to fight. We're simply not going to take this line down. We're going to keep fighting.
So I'm telling all my colleagues, this is the fight of our life.
Whose side are you on? Who are you fighting for?
They're fighting, or I'm fighting. We're both fighting.
We will fight back. We're not going to just take this line down.
I'm just going to keep the fight up.
What we have to do right now is fight as hard as we can.
We have to.
The difference between them talking about fighting, they're talking about legitimately fighting like in elections. When Trump is talking about fighting, he doesn't have a political fucking background or a report to fucking fall back against. So he's literally just talking about drumming up a fucking mob and fighting. And if you don't understand that or you're arguing that, you're playing fucking semantics, which means that you think your audience is stupid.
You got to be fierce in fighting.
Brown have been fighting.
I've told President Biden I will fight like mad.
I'll tell you what, now more than ever, we have to fight like hell.
We have these battles on the floor of the Senate.
And we have been fighting like hell. That's why in 2018 we took back a bunch of House seats. And in 2020 we took the fucking presidency. And if we fucking keep up the momentum, it'll expand on to 2022. Because we're going to need it. We're going to need to have that power. We're going to need to have that fucking power in the fucking Senate and the House in order to fucking fix 4 years of busted fucking shit that under any other fucking circumstances would be like having 2 Republican fucking presidents that did 2 full terms back to back. Like Trump did in 4 years what it would take 2 regular Republican fucking presidents to do in 16.
And we've got 30 years of shit to be able to address. And, like, that's how far we're in the hole right now.
Fuck.
Fighting. I will always fight. Fighting.
Because we really need to start
Joe Biden.
turning back some of those Reagan-era policies.
To fight and to fight. And about the important.
Restore some worker protections.
Must fight to fight to fight and to fight. As our willingness to fight continue the fight, as Joe Biden says.
This is just one of the most fallacious arguments I've ever heard in my life.
It's so... like I was saying, if you're going to play this kind of semantics on this scale, then it means that you think your audience is fucking stupid.
That's what I was getting ready to say. They're not playing to anybody with a brain. They're playing to the Fox News, Newsmax, OAN crowd.
Yeah.
This is for them.
Uh-huh.
We like a good fight. We were born out of a fight.
And that's another sad part. It's a pre-gone conclusion.
There's the fight, and then there's the fight to defend. Back in the fight.
Our mission is to fight. That is the guiding purpose of House Democrats. Fighting. He has never forgotten
That beautiful, beautiful bridge.
fighting for. Marched and fought, and we just have to fight.
I thought you were going to talk about her lipstick. I thought it was really nice. It was glossy and shiny.
I led the fight and continue to fight. Never, never, never give up this fight. I'm a citizen.
I recognize that fucking bridge. Fucking anywhere.
Who fought for progressive change. As a lawyer who fought for
I want to go across that bridge.
Oh, let's go.
I've never been to San Fran.
I have the fucking best big loop Bay Area tour that I take all my friends on. We hit fucking cemeteries and beaches and bridges and all kinds of shit.
Fuck yeah, I'm coming out there after we get through this stupid pandemic.
Please do.
Every day and fight hard. I have been fighting. We're gonna fight. We are gonna fight. We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight. And I will fight.
We're in the fight.
Redwoods. Redwood.
Fight like hell to fight.
I've heard about Redwoods. I've been to San Diego. I've been to LA. Never been to the Bay Area.
Bummer.
We're eager to take on this fight. Get in this
That's why I gotta get out there and let you give me the tour.
Do you enjoy cemeteries?
I do.
You do? Good. Because
We have a really cool one that you would love, not far from me.
Probably.
But it's bougie. It's like the rich people around here.
Oh, there's the one of those in Oakland. There's a spot up top called Millionaires Row. And it's got all the early 1900s like Bay Area bigwigs like Blake Merritt and fucking Giardelli and just all kinds of fucking people. These huge fucking monuments. They're gorgeous.
Requiring us to fight and fight we will.
No dying.
In their fight.
I got bong water all over me.
Ah.
We are fighting this fight.
It's on my pants.
The strength of who we are is we will fight.
I can't see you, so I have to look on stream and see what happens.
I'm wet now. I can't get my chair in the right position. I'm just all fucked up this morning. Oh, it's not even morning. It's afternoon.
Twisted your brain around backwards.
Okay. It is morning for me still for 2 more minutes. My bad.
Every single one of
See,
you
I was right.
and every one of you. That's okay. You didn't do anything wrong.
I don't know what this cat's doing over there. He's just like hanging out. He's playing with his ball, I guess.
And did you tone down the rhetoric last summer when all of this was happening? Did you condemn
Oh, here comes the BLM shit.
Nancy Pelosi who said
Hamish came and hung out on stream
what they're going to do?
last night.
Who?
Hamish, my big orange kitty.
Oh!
My big ginge.
Only a ginger can call another ginger ginger.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will.
I don't know why there's not uprisings all over the country. Have you seen this fucking country?
They shot and killed David in cold blood.
Destroying property which can be replaced is not violent.
This is an apartment complex on fire. And it just collapsed. The building just collapsed. I have nowhere to go now.
The video they just showed of the Minneapolis Police Department, a right-wing boogaloo group was charged for burning that down.
That's true.
The exact same people who breached the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
There is damage everywhere you look. Honestly, it looks like a war zone.
Heartwarming.
But right-wingers will never acknowledge that.
Turn out
No.
peacefully.
They keep doing it day after day after day.
And that's the crazy part, is like they'll be like, oh, it was actually Democrats, it was actually Antifa and BLM. No, talking about the Trump supporters at the Capitol. But no, it's like the Antifa BLM shit that you're saying was violent was actually right-wingers trying to make it look like BLM and Antifa were violent.
Yeah.
They're not going to let up, and they should not.
Once again with the ominous music under it.
To object to the certification of election results. You, along with your allies in the media, attempted to cancel and censor members of this chamber who voiced concerns and objected to certification. Manager Raskin, you'd been in Congress only 3 days when you objected in 2017. It's one of the first things you did when you got here.
I have an objection because 10 of the 29 electoral votes cast by Florida were cast by electors not lawfully certified.
Is the objection in writing and signed not only by the member of the House of Representatives, but also by a senator?
It is in writing, Mr. President.
Is it signed by a senator?
Not as of yet, Mr. President.
In that case, the objection cannot be entertained.
Mr. President, I object to the certificate.
But I mean, Trump was the person that supposedly the Electoral College was supposed to prevent.
Object to a certificate
Right.
From the state of North Carolina based on violations of the Voting Rights Act.
I'm like, these people are standing up for a president who lost the popular vote.
Section 18, Title 3.
To say that he's illegitimate because of that.
I object. I've objected to the counting of the electoral votes of the state of Ohio.
This is a false equivalency with
Alabama, the electors were not lawfully
2020, in which it was an absolute blowout in both the popular and electoral college.
Right, Jerry Monster and I were just talking about that this morning, is that he won by, Biden won the electoral college and the fucking
I have an objection to the electoral votes.
The objection is in writing, and I don't care that it is not signed by a member of the Senate. I do not wish to debate. I wish to ask, is there one?
That's one of my favorite parts of Fahrenheit 9/11, the Michael Moore movie.
Yeah.
It's like in the opening little montage.
But not yet by a member of the Senate.
It is over.
I watched Fahrenheit 11/9. I don't remember being too impressed by it.
That the president's
I
actual
didn't see that
words could
one.
not have incited the riot, as you alleged in your article of impeachment.
Once again, it's back to like the Trump fatigue. I don't.
Raising the issue of election security and casting doubt on the propriety of our elections was dangerous.
I watched
One of the House managers, Mr. Cicilline,
I
told
watched
you that
his,
this is
like,
not about the
Trump
words Mr. Trump
one,
used in isolation.
or the one where he talks about Hillary.
Fahrenheit 11/9.
Oh, is that one? Oh, I
Yeah.
did watch that one. I learned.
I think
a lot
that's
of
his
stuff
newest
about
one.
Hillary that I didn't know.
That it's the big lie that incited the riot, and that the big lie was
Uh-oh. What's his response for the big lie?
or that the election was stolen. Claiming an election was stolen, you were told, are words that are insightful to a candidate's followers and cause people to respond violently. Claiming an election was stolen or not legitimate
Look, that's a good one.
is something that a candidate should never do because he or she knows or should know that such a claim and such words can actually incite violent insurrection, you were told.
I almost did it again.
Well, it
Oh my
seems
God,
that
I
the House
killed
manager's position must be actually a bit narrower than that. The House manager's position really is that when Republican candidates for office claim an election is stolen or that the winner is illegitimate,
They're lying because they are.
Insurrection, and the candidate should know it.
And when a Democrat does it, they're
public elective
citing
office
a legitimate
perfectly
concern.
entitled to claim the
Yes.
election was stolen, or that the winner is illegitimate, or to make any other outrageous claim they can. It is their absolute right to do so. And it is their absolute right to do so, irrespective of whether there's any evidence to support the claim. Democratic candidates can claim that an election was stolen because of Russian collusion, or without any explanation at all. And that is perfect.
Oh, I've had a guy arguing with me about collusion. I never even used the word collusion. And I finally noticed what he was doing. He's like, so you're saying that there was indeed collusion between Russia and Trump? I'm like, oh, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to make a pedantic argument about collusion. Collusion's not the legal term. Even the Mueller report said it's not collusion, it's criminal conspiracy. And they couldn't come to a conclusion on a count of criminal conspiracy because of 11 counts of obstruction.
Was rigged and stolen from you. And ask yourself whether you've ever seen anyone,
right-wingers are
at any
morons,
level of government, make the same claim about their own election.
If Stacey Abrams doesn't win in Georgia, they stole it. It's clear. It's clear. And I say that publicly, it's clear.
Well, that was true. They did indeed steal it by suppressing the vote.
And you can have the election stolen from you.
He knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election
Let me go check my
turned out
coffee.
the way it did.
Votes remain to be counted. There are voices that were waiting to be heard.
And I will not concede.
And I respect where you're coming from, and I respect the issues that you're raising. You're not answering the question. Do you think it was... You're not using the word legitimate.
There are still legitimate concerns over the integrity of our elections and of ensuring the principle of one person, one vote.
I agree with tens of millions of Americans who are very worried that when they cast the ballot on an electronic voting machine, that there is no paper trail to record that vote.
But 2005.
In Ohio,
16 years ago.
Electronic machines,
Kabint.
which may not have
How
been-
Welcome.
have led to
How,
additional
like,
loss
the
of confidence
leaps
by
and
the public.
bounds
This
that
is their
technology
only opportunity to have this
has
debate
taken
while
since
the country
2005.
Oh, Bernie objecting to using an electronic device to cast a vote?
Right.
Well, he was talking about it on the Senate floor, too, wasn't he? He was talking about it on the Senate floor. I don't know. I was checking my coffee.
Yeah, they played it. Yeah, they played it.
$2,000 stimulus checks.
The shit that is going on today is the start of the defense's proceedings. It's already been batshit crazy. The Vander Veet. That was the first guy. Vander Veen. I'm sorry. Vander Veen was the first lawyer to speak. He said that the first person arrested in the Capitol riots was Antifa. He played a video where it was like whimsical music under the shit that Trump said, and then played a bunch of Democrats that were like, fight, fight, and it had ominous music under it. It was one of the craziest pieces of propaganda I've ever seen. And then Winch and I have both about choked ourselves on marijuana. I'm covered in bong water right now because I choked on pot.
People have heard the allegations against the president, and they overwhelmingly oppose him.
So now this is the second presentation. This is showing the guy that taps his head whenever he takes a drink of water.
Of the American people. Mr. Speaker,
He is attempting to... I guess this is the Pee Wee Herman part, right? This is the I know you are, but what am I? Because his presentation has just been focused on, like, well, if Trump should be charged, then the Democrats should be charged. That's literally been his argument. And that's why you're seeing video of Nadler right now.
Right.
Who has slimmed down, so congratulations, dude. I didn't realize how much weight you lost.
They will not forget. You may have the votes, you may have the muscle, but you do not have the legitimacy of a national consensus or of a constitutional imperative. This partisan coup d'etat will go down in infamy in the history of this nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back the balance of my time.
What a fucking bitch. Get out of here.
Hey, I'm no fan of Nadler. Obviously, he thought that was his mic drop moment. He just walked off. That was not as impactful as what the Democrats did.
No.
Now, are we getting Mr. Castor now? Or are we going back to Vanderveen? I think it is Vanderveen. I think Castor's sitting next to him.
Senators. President. There are two fundamental questions for purposes of this free speech analysis.
Now, these guys had a meeting with Ted Cruz and Mike Lee. I don't know if he blew a kiss. I blew a kiss at Rashida Tlaib earlier.
Second, if it does, do the words spoken by Mr. Trump at the Ellipse on January 6th meet the definition of constitutional incitement so as to void the protections afforded by the First Amendment? I will explain why the answers to both of these questions must be a resounding yes. The Constitution and the First Amendment must certainly apply to these.
So this guy seems far more competent, don't you agree, other than Castor,
under the
who we heard speak on Tuesday?
Yeah. But before getting into the legal analysis, some preliminary observations
The Democrats
about
have
the
painted
House
them into
manager's
the worst
case
corner.
should be made.
They're lucky that it doesn't matter for
This
them.
case, unfortunately,
They're so
is
lucky
about
that it doesn't
political
matter,
hatred.
which is the worst.
It has
fucking
become
part
very
about
clear
this
that the
whole
House
thing.
Democrats hate Donald Trump. This type of political hatred has no.
You're kind of making me want to go back and see if he did the chef's kiss.
And certainly
He did.
no.
He did?
He did.
This hatred has led the House managers to manipulate and selectively edit Mr. Trump's speech.
This guy's
to make it
wild.
falsely appear that he sought to incite the crowd to violently attack.
Now, they did not selectively edit anything. We saw the clips. They did not edit the clips. They played in their entirety. They were just selected clips. Now, what the Trump campaign or the Trump lawyers did, they actually did edit shit together. There were quick edits. There were cuts. They zoomed in on shit. They put different music under it. It's wild. And then they get up and accuse the Democrats of
landmark binding
deceptively editing clips. That's amazing to me.
Precedents, Wood and Bond, both of which unequivocally hold that elected officials have core First Amendment rights to engage in the exact type of political speech which Mr. Trump engaged in. I was shocked the House managers not only spent a mere 3 pages on the First Amendment analysis in their memo, but yesterday they spent a mere 10 minutes at the end of their case as a throwaway. What we have read and what we have heard.
I don't understand. The First Amendment is to protect like the little guy from talking about the government and the government squashing his speech and putting him in jail. First Amendment has nothing to do with the president telling his followers to go interfere in democracy, you asshole.
The president shouldn't be a prankster.
And finally,
he's a prankster president.
Hatred is at the heart of the House managers' frivolous attempts to blame Donald Trump for the criminal acts of the rioters based on double hearsay.
If I ever get arrested again, I'm gonna use that defense. This whole trial is just based on the hatred that the legal system has for me.
Hatred is a dangerous thing.
Hatred is a dangerous thing.
Hatred should have no place in this chamber, in these.
And the difference is like in that instance, it'd probably be a hell of a lot more true than in the instance he's using
The Senate is presented with an extraordinary task, sitting in judgment.
So I'm probably getting arrested for smoking pot or something. Then it really is like a hatred of hippies or some shit.
The House managers accused Mr. Trump of using his words to incite the horrific events at the Capitol on January 6th.
Yes, sir.
But yesterday, they gave you a new and novel standard of incitement with an element of foreseeability, a negligence concept. They cite zero case law. They made it up.
They don't have to cite case law.
Completely made-up legal standard of incitement to an impeachment proceeding
Well,
is
when
truly
something
an
has never really
unprecedented
happened
task for
before,
the
you
Senate.
kind of have to.
And that is something the Senate must seriously.
Yeah, there is no precedent for incitement in this country. I mean, there might be a case or two, but like it's going back to like the British.
Not
where
on
the
a
Senate will be
presidential-
tasked with sitting in judgment.
Maybe during the Civil War, somebody from the South was charged with incitement. Like that's what we're talking about here. That's why like they're not citing precedent. And the president has never fucking done anything like this before.
Party to weaponize the
So we're
awesome
working
power
in
of
all
impeachment
new
against the
territory.
minority to suppress a point of view.
What does it mean to weaponize?
Senate then have to deal with constant articles of impeachment by a majority party accusing minority presidents or other elected officials of so-called insightful.
Sir, did you live through 1998?
You can see where this would lead. Sadly, we have all seen the political rhetoric get ratcheted up over the last few years.
Oh my
We've been
God.
witnesses to many incendiary words by our officials at political events, broadcast over the media, internet. And
He was proud of himself too. Did you see the way he turned that page?
Impeachment hearings? One last observation. We agree with the House managers, context does indeed matter. The inflammatory rhetoric from our elected officials must be.
Hold on, let me go. I will go pour my coffee and then I'll be back for the duration.
Speech at the Ellipse on January 6th. The inflammatory language from both sides of the aisle has been alarming, frankly. But this political discourse must be considered as part of these proceedings to contextualize Mr. Trump's words. We have some video to play that
Offer
highlights
anyone else
some
a
of what I'm
cup from the
talking
French
about.
press.
I preface this video by noting I am not showing you this video as some excuse for Mr. Trump's speech. This is not whataboutism. I am showing you this to make the point that all political speech must be protected.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
Feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in.
Wait, haven't they already played all these clips?
Behind the gym and beat the
It's
hell.
like the third time they played
In high school, I could take him
Right.
behind the
all
gym.
this.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
When was the last time?
This is the same video. This is Johnny Depp again.
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I assumed that putting a bullet in Donald Trump was like, in order for him to die, like after he got COVID or something, like in order for him to die, they gotta have to put a bullet in Donald Trump or something. Like it wasn't like a threat. I gotta be careful about saying that, or the FBI is gonna knock on my door.
And you will pay the price.
Hey, federales, that was a quote.
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
This is a comedy show. This is the part. You're exactly right, Jordan. No context. A lot of these were taken out of context.
I did not show you their robust speech to excuse or balance out the.
But that had to be a different video, right? Because I don't remember. Or was I talking over Kamala and Ellen?
I showed you the video because in this political forum, all robust speech should be protected, and it should be protected evenly for all of us.
Yes, sir.
Brief aside.
My speech didn't cause a riot in the Capitol to stop the counting of the constitutionally mandated electoral ballots.
It is grating on the collective well-being of the body public, the citizens. Most would like it to stop. But the point is, when you see speech such as this, you have to apply the First Amendment evenly, blindly. She is
No,
blind,
because we can't apply other laws
Lady
evenly
Justice.
because the president can't
Question
be fucking
one.
charged with fucking blah,
Does
blah,
the
blah.
First Amendment
No.
apply to this chamber in these proceedings? The House manager's position, as stated
No.
in their trial brief,
No.
is, and I quote, "The First Amendment does not apply at all to an impeachment proceeding." That's their position. This is plainly wrong. The text of the First Amendment expressly restricts Congress from regulating speech. It says, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging
Well,
the
good thing that's not what's going on right now.
press or the right of the people peaceably
Because if we were here to do that, I'd have a problem with
petition
it.
the government for a redress of grievances. To ignore the Constitution would be contrary to the oath of office of a United States Senator.
President isn't
I
a
do
regular
solemnly
citizen.
swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign
It's
and
like
domestic,
they got like a
that I will
7th
bear
grade
true
social
faith
studies
and allegiance to
teacher
the same.
to come up and be a lawyer
know
for
the
the
rest.
president's side.
And it's he's just trying to do basic shit. You're right. Like that's his understanding of what he's talking about.
And stretch it out for 4 hours. So at least it looks like they did some.
Crimes and misdemeanors.
Well, they've already played the same video 2 or 3 times, or at least pieces of the same video 2 or 3 times.
Constitutional guardrails unmoored
So
to any specific.
it's just going to be rambling all day. It's 1:21 on the East Coast. Apparently, the Senate will adjourn by 5. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. Go on, Winch.
That's knowing them, they paid like 4 different people that they all came up with the same fucking video.
The mere creature of the legislature, a quote.
Oh, come on. They did, as of Tuesday, they did not have any video presentations. They got that shit off of Fiverr. Tuesday night, Wednesday. You know they did. I'm amazed I wasn't hired. I don't think my jobs are active right now. It would have been hilarious if they had hired me to do their videos for their presentation.
Nothing less than a violation, quote, a violation of the fundamental principle.
Because I think they were caught flat-footed on Tuesday, and they're like, oh, God, these guys are really prepared. And they've got these slick videos, and we're going to look stupid.
Mr.
Like,
Wilson was a renowned legal scholar at
The fact that they weren't even expecting that.
at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia.
In their defense, they've only been on the job a handful of days. I'm probably more intimately aware of the details of this case than they are.
Court justices, 1789 to 1798.
Just by just sheer virtue of sitting here and watching the whole thing that day.
Wilson taught the first course on the new Constitution.
So I kind of feel sorry for them, but then again, like you deserve what you deserve the embarrassment of going through these proceedings. You deserve to get stiffed on the bill like you're gonna get the next week or so.
He's gonna get Giuliani.
Lectures, the first of their kind under the Constitution. Plainly,
I mean, if you're Michael Vanderveen, you had to figure I'm going in here just for exposure, that I'm going to get some name value off of this, that some people are going to say my name on the news, and that's all the good that's going to come from this.
as an impeachable offense. Let me say that again. He states that lawful and constitutional conduct may not be used as an impeachable offense. Read along with me. The doctrine of impeachments is of high import in the constitutions of free states. On one hand, the most powerful magistrate should
What's the matter, rookie?
agreeable to the law. On the other hand,
no.
elevated characters should not be sacrificed merely on account of their elevation.
Do you remember the marijuana harmless commercials? Like the dude was at the drive-through and then he hits the gas and runs over a girl on a bike. It's like marijuana harmless.
To be clear,
harmless.
James
The
Wilson,
very first one of those, they're like two teenage boys in like their dad's study or something, and they've got a bong, and one of them like takes a rip of it, and, and the other one goes, "What's the matter, rookie?" And ever since I saw that commercial 20 fucking years ago, somebody coughs on pot, I'm like, "What's the matter, rookie?" But anyway, the end of that commercial, the one dude's like, "Hey, it's a gun," and ends up like shooting one. It goes black. You don't know who shoots who. If he shoots himself, he shoots his friend or whatever. Marijuana, harmless.
this is real.
The early 2000s were a wild time.
Mr. Trump's lawyers. Whenever a lawyer advances a truly frivolous argument, they may violate
This cat's looking at me really weird.
and could be subject to
I
discipline.
don't know what he wants.
This
Oh,
letter
okay.
is
He's
direct
going on
threat
about his
to
business.
My law license, my career, and my family's financial well-being. These law professors should be ashamed of themselves, and so should the House managers.
Wait. Is he saying like he destroyed all those things? His financial well-being, his reputation, his family.
Good, hard-working people's lives, people that are only doing their jobs, and frankly, as counsel for an accused fulfilling a constitutional role? It's astounding, really. I'm a citizen, not a politician.
Oh, he's the victim in this.
I know these First Amendment arguments are not...
This is amazing.
They are completely meritorious. Interestingly, the law professor's letter was issued on February 5th, 3 days before we even filed our legal brief
I'm trying to
in this
hotbox my
matter.
office.
And they ignored landmark, bedrock Supreme Court cases directly addressing this issue. In our brief, we have a direct quote from James Wilson, the founding father supporting our position. The direct quote was documented in the founding fathers' original legal papers.
So he's trying to say like our presentation was better because we quoted
on the subject
more famous people? What?
Constitution, who taught the new Constitution to President Washington. He says so long as acts of elected officials like Mr. Trump are constitutionally protected, he should not be impeached. We have landmark U.S. Supreme Court decisions, Wood and Bonds, which I'll explain in detail, supporting our position.
They weren't presidents.
All of this, the House managers and the partisan law professors completely and misleadingly ignore. Frivolous? Hardly. The letter is a bully tactic, and I think evidence is the House managers...
It's a bully tactic.
...with a First Amendment defense on the merits.
Projection
so they're
much?
resorting to such tactics. The House manager's suggestion that the First Amendment does not apply to this...
I love that facts are bully tactics.
...completely untenable. Ignoring the First Amendment would...
He's the real victim in all this.
It would also conflict with well-settled Supreme Court precedent and ignore the intent of the framers of the Constitution, such as James Wilson. Above all else, ignoring the Constitution would adopt...
And you're wanting to talk about who's the most famous that you quoted, and you quote James fucking Wilson. They had Tom Paine, sir. By your logic, they've got you beat. Nobody knows who fucking James Wilson is.
What the House managers say.
Raskin's on a first-name basis with goddamn Tom Paine. Jesus Christ.
Process. It's double talk.
What's his buddy?
Nonsense. Illogical. If the House managers had their way, they would ignore all of the Constitution. Does that include the Sixth Amendment? The right to counsel? They would have Mr. Trump sitting here without lawyers. And who would be next? It could be anyone.
Well, Trump's done enough
you?
on his own to almost
Or
be
one of
sitting
you?
there without lawyers. Like, if he
You
couldn't
must
hire a lawyer,
reject this
who would defend
invitation
him?
to ignore the First Amendment.
Does it fall like
It
default
is
to somebody?
anti-American
Matt Gaetz.
and would set dangerous precedent forever.
Ted Cruz.
No. Okay, so Matt Gaetz was on with Steve Bannon, right, on the War Room Pandemic. You know what I'm talking about. Gaetz said that they actually looked into it and that in order for him to defend President Trump, he would have to resign from Congress, and that he was willing to resign from Congress if Trump would ask him to. And I'm like, please, bring Matt Gaetz. Let Matt Gaetz defend. One, I want him out of Congress. That would be fantastic because he is a gigantic piece of shit. But two, I would love to see him make a fool of himself because Matt Gaetz is not as smart as Matt Gaetz thinks he is.
No.
Hold on. Because, like, there's one thing talking about, like, Ted Cruz or Josh Hawley. They're fucking Ivy League educated. Those are really, really smart men.
That too.
Matt Gaetz is not a smart man.
The Supreme Court has long
He went to the College of William and Mary.
protect elected officials.
You know, whereas, like, Hawley and Cruz are fucking, like, Harvard educated.
Wood versus
Right.
Georgia and Bond versus Floyd expressly contradict the House manager's position. The House managers do not even cite those cases in their brief.
Impeachment in the bank briefcase. Book that shit.
And they were mum on them yesterday.
I'd go with Raskin and Payne was a badass.
The Supreme Court addressed a case involving
Now, Raskin, on the other hand, Raskin kind of looked like he's a bit of a wuss.
by a grand jury and paneled by a judge based on allegations of irregular
I think Van der Veen could take Raskin,
voting. It was
but Payne could certainly take it. But then again, I don't know fucking.
publicly in multiple press releases calling the grand jury investigations racist, illegitimate, and an attempt to intimidate voters.
I don't know
Even urged
jack
the
shit
grand
about
jurors on how to decide
James
the
Wilson.
issues and not let its high office be a party to any political attempt to intimidate voters.
So this is what James Wilson looks
You,
like.
The grand jury is challenging
You think Thomas Paine could take James Wilson?
his election. The sheriff even sent a letter
look like-
to the grand
does he look like a
jury
wuss?
with these allegations, which is an extraordinary
Are you
step
showing it on
since
stream?
laws in
I
most
have to wait
states
till-
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, you're not seeing the stream.
attempts
My
to
bad.
influence or intimidate jurors. The sheriff was charged and convicted.
Do you want me to give you the stream instead of my camera?
Of the grand jury.
I don't see
But
your
the
camera
Supreme
either.
Court, in a decision
Oh, okay.
written by Justice Brennan, reversed. The court held that the
I
First
see a
Amendment protected
very old
an
picture of
elected
you
public
with no
official's
hair and
speech
very small
because the
goatee.
voting contest
Oh, so it's like my bad that I'm not even giving you anything.
political career. 229.
I'm sorry. Well, do you want
Petitioner
do you
was an elected official and
do you
had-
want to see the stream? Is that what you want?
No. I
petitioner
have that
was an
pulled up in
elected
another
official
window. It's
and
just
had the
like
right to
a
enter the
second
field
and a half
of
off.
political controversy.
Yeah, but that'd be real time though.
His political life
You
was
should
at
be
stake.
seeing the stream now on your.
The role
on your
that
Zoom.
elected officials play in our society makes it all
It might be backwards though.
imperative
That's okay.
that
It's
they
not
be
backward.
allowed free
Oh, okay, cool.
to express themselves on matters of current public
Anyway, back to the.
Wood thus stands for
What do you think, chat? Could
that
James
a
Wilson take
political
Thomas
opinion
Paine? He kind of looked like a
expressed in a
wuss.
speech on an issue of voting irregularity cannot be punishable where all that was done was to encourage investigation and peaceful political speech. Just like Mr. Trump has done here. The legal scholars call
Mr.
that
Trump.
directly on
Nobody
point.
calls him President Trump.
A second case, Bond versus Floyd involved a state legislature punishing an elected official for protected political speech. Bond is particularly instructive here, too. In Bond, the Supreme Court squarely
James Bond.
the question of an elected official's punishment by a legislature for statements alleged to have incited public violation of the law, the burning of draft cards. The court unequivocally...
James Wilson was also a boxer, and he most certainly could take Thomas Paine, because he looks to be a badass.
That an elected official is entitled to no protection under the First Amendment. The Supreme Court held that the Georgia House of Representatives...
This James Wilson could totally take Thomas Paine. But now the other founding father, James Wilson, probably couldn't.
By not seating him, for advocating against the policy of the United States. There are three fundamental holdings in Bond. One, the manifest function of the First Amendment in a representative government requires that legislators be given the widest latitude to express their views on issues of policy. Two, just as erroneous statements must be protected to give freedom of expression the breathing space it needs to survive, so statements criticizing public policy and the implementation of it must be similarly.
I wonder if we did pass a law like I was talking about yesterday, where like the president had to be under oath anytime they're speaking in front of the symbol. Would that withstand First Amendment scrutiny? Would that
their constituents can be fully informed?
I wonder what the courts would think about that.
And be better
You have to swear an
able to
oath
assess
whenever
their
you
qualifications. Please
testify.
read along with me. Their
Exactly.
qualifications for
And
office.
then they just classify
Also,
every
so
time
they may be
you
represented
are
in governmental debates
in
by
session.
the person they have
It's
elected
considered
to represent.
testimony to the country.
Mr. Trump enjoys
That's
this
patriotic,
same
right?
First Amendment protection from Congress.
I would like to see a law passed where the president can't just blatantly lie about a pandemic,
Electoral integrity issue
about an election.
to his career that Mr. Trump has consistently advocated.
About who the first lady is.
The House managers argue that the First Amendment, and I quote, does not shield public officials who occupy.
I said that to a right-winger one time, and he's like, but that's his daughter. And I'm like, yes, exactly.
When their speech undermines important governmental
That's
interests.
not what it said.
That is flat wrong. They are, in essence,
It took me back the first time Dave said it.
as their employee.
That's good.
This is not the law under Wood
Funny,
and
'cause it's
Bond.
true.
Mr. Trump was elected by the people. He is an elected official.
He wasn't really elected
says
by the people.
Officials
No,
must have the
he was
right
elected by the Electoral
to freely
College.
engage in public speech.
Which I guess is
People picked the people literally picked Hillary Clinton,
The Supreme Court expressly
and then was so upset that they didn't get Hillary Clinton that they voted for Joe fucking Biden
that the sheriff was
overwhelmingly.
not a civil servant, but an elected official who had
They don't look at it that way.
First Amendment rights which could not be restricted. That's Wood v. Georgia, page 395.
No. They think you and I are stupid. We're socialists that want
House
socialism to take over
managers do
the
not
country.
mention Wood
And we don't understand why the cheese is free.
in the trial brief or anywhere else.
You've heard that before, right? Like the mouse doesn't know why
Because
the
it does
cheese
not
is free
fit
in the
their
trap.
narrative or their
Right.
story.
That's the same with socialism.
Mr. Trump for engaging in constitutionally protected free speech, and they do not want
It's a right-winger meme that makes its way around.
but you must. Question 2. Does Mr. Trump's speech deserve protection under the First Amendment?
No.
There is no doubt Mr. Trump
My
engaged
roommate just
in
sent me an email. It's like, hey, send me your resume. They're hiring over here.
That the House is
Like,
improperly.
I mean, technically, his speech is covered under the First Amendment. It's the fucking riot that happened that's not covered under the First Amendment, sir.
Out
Right.
governmental punishment, impeachment, based on First Amendment political speech. Speech. for
You're making this argument about speech, but we've already gone over the crowded
First
fire,
Amendment
the
offers its strongest.
crowded fire in a theater room.
These are bedrock principles
Yelling fire in a crowded theater
for decades.
Yelling fire.
is the principle. Yeah.
The court has stated in no uncertain terms
But like they were
the
trying to
importance of
like
these
Trump was
principles to
they
our
were saying it's like the equivalent of the fire chief going around
the
and
general
setting
proposition
fires,
that freedom of
Exactly.
on public questions is secure
And then not sending anybody to put out the fires. Like it's
settled by our decision.
crazy.
The constitutional safeguard, we have said, was fashioned to assure
Trump used it like a
unfettered
directed
interchange
energy
of
weapon
ideas for
equivalent
the
of
bringing
fire
about
setting.
of political and social changes desired by the people. New York Times v. Sullivan. Our First Amendment decisions have created a rough hierarchy in the constitutional protection of speech. Core political speeches occupy the highest, most protected position. Even political speech that may incite
I'm still kind of sleepy and I'm totally stoned. How did I even get
the
here?
reach of government punishment. The court has said every idea is an incitement.
Where am I?
And if speech may
Where's
be
my car?
suppressed when it might inspire someone,
Yeah, where is my car?
then there is no limit to the state's censorial power.
I haven't had one of those since
The
2019.
government may not prohibit speech
I've had the
because
same-
it
I've had the
increases
same car
the chances
since
of an
2012.
unlawful act will be committed at some indefinite time.
My parents talked me into trading in my truck, and I wish I didn't do. I owned my truck. I missed that
Going
motherfucker.
all the way back to
Trading it in on a lease.
2019 in an
We've
effort
got
to
a
prove
1978
incitement.
Dodge Power Wagon.
All of that evidence is totally irrelevant under the constitutional definition of incitement.
All of your argument is totally irrelevant,
Versus Ohio.
Mr. Vanderveen.
Case on the issue of incitement speech. Half of the case was mentioned yesterday.
Vanderveen's kind of a cool
In the
name. I wish my name was
Brandenburg v.
Vanderveen.
Ohio case, another
Justin
landmark, the court
Vanderveen.
held the government may only
Sounds rich.
The government may only suppress speech for advocating the use of force or a violation of law if such advocacy
We might have a visit
is
from a
directed
Maynard
to
coming.
inciting or
coming over
producing
here? Nope.
imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. The Brandenburg holds
Yes.
as having three basic prongs to determine
It produced such action. That's what we're talking about.
of incitement.
You're citing the
Brandenburg
actual
test precludes
precedent.
speech from being sanctioned as incitement to a riot unless
Justin freaking Vanderveen.
one, the
That actually sounds really cool.
speaker implicitly encouraged use of violence or lawless action. 2, the speaker intends that his speech will result in use of violence or lawless action. And 3, the imminent use of violence or lawless action is the likely result of the speech. The House managers cannot get past the first prong of the Brandenburg test. They have not and cannot prove Mr. Trump explicitly or implicitly encouraged use of violence or lawless.
They absolutely did. They absolutely did prove both implicitly and explicitly he encouraged the use of violence.
They're either important or they're not. The House managers admitted that the incitement issue is not about the words. Why not? Because on the face of it, Mr. Trump's words are no different than the figurative speech used by every one of the senators assembled here today.
No, it's not.
If it is not
Because his speech was in service of a lie, a blatant lie about our democracy.
then why isn't House Manager
This guy is full of shit.
guilty since he tried to overturn
But anyway, since we were talking about my name, Justin freaking Vanderveen sounds really fucking cool. But apparently my name is actually Craig. And I have a clip to play.
And special thanks to Ted Enley for our music and Craig Mullins for our
Justin Mullins,
Justin.
And his friend Gail, by the way.
Gail and Craig are brothers and sisters. Justin Mullins. I knew it when I said it.
So I'm actually Craig.
Action at the same.
Please refer to me as Craig freaking Vanderveen from now on.
These are the words. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol.
It was one of the many podcasts I edit. For some reason, they really wanted to give me a shout out. I told them not to because I'm like, you don't want my stank on you.
Patriotically make your voice.
And I also like my ego does not require you shouting me out. I actually feel a little weird about it.
Years when he condemns violence, lawlessness.
Especially when you don't get my name right.
The House managers have played manipulated, selectively edited parts of Mr. Trump's speech.
They weren't the ones selectively editing anything.
The president used the word fight 20 times in his speech. They picked only 2. Why? Why not the
time limitations?
They don't tell the story the way they want to tell it. Here are all of them. Listen to the context.
And Rudy, you did a great job. He's got guts. You know what?
He just lies with impunity.
He's got guts. He fights. And I'll tell you, thank you.
Hold on, I gotta add Rudy here. I don't have a Rudy I can call up.
That's a tough act to follow, those two. There's so many weak Republicans, and
you think
we
we're
have great
stupid?
ones.
You
Jim
think we're
Jordan and
fools?
some of these guys, they're out there fighting the House.
Yes.
Fighting. But it's incredible. Many of the Republicans, I helped them get in. I helped them get elected. Get rid of. How do you say I want to get rid of America first? Even if you're going to do it, don't talk about it, right?
What?
Unbelievable what we have to go through. What we have to go through, and you have to get your people.
It's unbelievable what we've had to go through, as in we, this fucking country.
You primary them. We're gonna let you know who they are. I can already tell you.
I can't believe it.
Republicans are constantly fighting like a boxer with his hands tied behind his back. It's like a boxer. And we want to be so nice. We want to be so respectful of everybody, including bad people. And we're going to have to fight much harder. And Mike Pence is going to have to come through for us. And if he doesn't, that will be a sad day for our country. Because you're sworn to uphold our Constitution.
Oh, still no emotes on the Twitch.
We see somebody in there that doesn't treat
I'm looking forward to it. I didn't even know about emotes.
They do things badly. We say, Joe, you're fired. Get out of here. Before you
That's
couldn't
why
do
I
you
even
couldn't do
subbed
that
to some
before.
people.
So we've taken care of things. We've done things like nobody's ever.
That's why. Yeah, exactly. People will want to use my troll. I need to have emotes.
But we've done it quickly. And
My moron snake.
sit home and watch a big victory, and everybody had us down for a
I just didn't know to do it until somebody in the chat was like, "Hey, you should make emotes." Oh, I should, shouldn't I?
few days and relax after our big electoral victory. 10 o'clock, it was over. The American
So emotes are on the way if you are watching on Twitch.
fake news anymore. They have ruined their reputation. But you know, it used to be that they'd argue with me. I'd fight. So I'd fight, they'd fight, I'd fight, they'd fight. Bop, bop. You'd believe me, you'd believe them. Somebody comes out, you know. They had their point of view, I had my point of view.
I don't think Trump has ever fought with anybody.
No.
It's called
Oh, that's cool.
And that's what happens in a communist country. That's what they do. They suppress. You don't fight with them anymore.
These fucks have no clue what communism is.
No, they don't know the difference between communism,
But Hunter
socialism, and
Biden, they don't
Marxism.
talk
To
about
them,
it.
it's
What
all
happened to Hunter? Where's Hunter? With your help over the last 4 years, We built the greatest political movement in the history of our country, and nobody even challenges that. I say that over and over, and
I do. I challenge that. I can name a gazillion.
But our
The revolutionaries, the abolitionists. What the fuck are you talking about? The civil rights leaders of the 70s. You're full of shit, you flaming turd.
Our greatest achievements still wait.
God damn.
Achievements will be.
That's what happens when you paint a turd
because
orange.
nobody until I came along had any idea how corrupt our elections were. And again, most people would stand
Dust a turd with Cheeto powder.
in the evening and say, I want to thank you very much. And they go off to some other life. But I
It's
said,
a Doritos Loco Presidente.
can't have happened. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Not high enough
Our
for this
exciting
shit.
adventures and boldest endeavors.
I'm not high enough for this shit.
My fellow Americans, for our movement, for our children, and for our beloved country.
I gotta clean
and
my
I say
grinder.
this, despite all that's happened, the best is
Oh
yet.
God, I'd hate to see what my fucking grinder looks like. I mean, not bad. I thought it was gonna have shit caked all over it.
Members of Congress fighting, Rudy being Rudy.
Rudy being Rudy?
Rudy being
all
rude.
know
I
that,
mean,
right?
how else are you going to explain
You think
it?
we're fools? Suddenly, the word fight is off limits.
I mean, when the defense is even, it's just Rudy being Rudy.
God damn.
It's a term used
Holy
over and over and over.
That's a Comedy Central show, isn't it? It's just Rudy.
Sides of the aisle. And of course, the Democrat House managers
So
know
I have
that the
this
word
giant
fight has
grinder,
been
right,
used
this big ass
figuratively.
Oh shit, that's cool.
Through the Echoplex logo
But
on
don't
it.
take it from me.
Ah, that's neat as fuck.
Best to listen to them.
Our mission is to
Mine's just a plain metal motherfucker. Old handy.
Democrats
$10
are
at
fighting
the
as hard
local
as we
fucking
can.
Democrats are
shop, right?
standing up to fight.
But it's acrylic.
We like a good fight.
Democrats are going to fight like hell.
Is this the same video again?
We're going to fight like hell. I'm going to fight like hell. Fight like hell.
I will
No, this is a different video.
fight like hell.
And I know many of the senators and members of the House will fight like hell.
We are going to fight like hell.
Once again, this is a deceptively edited video. If you did not see the Democrats' presentation, they didn't edit shit like this. It's not quick cuts. There was no music under anything. It was just the videos. They spoke for themselves. A lot of them were just quick video clips that they yanked off a Parler. Listen to the music they put under this. This is Propaganda 101.
My fight. To fight it.
And Jamie Raskin was doing the jack-off motion on the floor of the House. What the hell?
And challenge him in every way that we can.
Fight in Congress, fight in the courts, fight in the streets.
In the Congress, in the courts, and in the streets.
There's the fight, there's the fight, there's the fight, and then there's the fight.
And if these motherfuckers use some copyright fucking music and like all of us streamers get taken down because they didn't go to YouTube and get copyright-free music, I'm going to be pissed. Because that's the kind of shit these stupid-ass Republicans would do.
But we also need to fight.
It's always going to be an uphill fight.
They just typed in like movie trailer music.
We're in the
Use the first thing they fucking could.
fight of our lives. This is the fight of our life.
The fight of their lives.
We are in this fight for our lives.
We cannot ever give up.
Listen to that shit. Honestly, I think I have that movie trailer compilation.
The reality is, Mr. Trump was not in any way, shape, or form instructing these people to fight or to use physical violence.
Well, they sure as shit didn't know that.
Was to challenge their.
We've heard their own fucking comments.
To push for
Maybe he should have said
election
something and
reforms,
clarified.
To hold big tech responsible, all customary.
I mean, that argument just doesn't hold weight when we even know that there were Republicans begging him to issue a statement and he wouldn't.
Protected constitutional speech.
protected
But the House
constitutional
managers
speech,
don't
my
want
ass.
you to focus on those things because, again, it does not fit their story. In the end, I leave you with this quote from Benjamin Franklin.
They're wrapping it up now, aren't they?
Freedom of
Unless they
speech
have
is a
another
principal pillar of a free government.
We haven't heard from Castor yet.
Support is taken away.
But then again, after Tuesday, they may not let him speak.
Of a free society is
But
dissolved.
he was the fun one. He rambled. He made the Democrats' case for them.
On its ruins. Thank you.
It is currently 1:54 on the East Coast. They probably will take a break here.
Mr. President,
The majority leader.
I ask unanimous consent the Senate recess for a 15-minute break.
They've been taking 15s. And they're not tight 15s either. If you've ever been a theater kid, this isn't a tight 15.
The Senate impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump is recessing for, as we heard, 15 minutes, but as we've seen over the last couple of days, those breaks often last 20 or 30 minutes. The first break here...
Even C-SPAN said the same thing that I did. It's not a tight 15.
Yeah.
So how fast do you think they're going to wrap it up? Maybe another 2-hour block?
You think they're going to try to take another 2 hours?
They've got 16.
Plot twist?
I don't think so. I think we've seen what they've got. I don't think they've got anything else to show us. If they, I would love to hear from Castor first of all, because his rambling ass was fun. So, not a chance in hell that... Now, I did see something this morning where... Are you aware that 15 Republicans did not show up yesterday for the entirety of the proceedings?
So they, like, not at all, or were there for just part of it?
I think some of them were there for part of it. Some of them just skipped the whole thing. I'm not exactly sure, but like 15 of them were at least missed a good chunk of it.
Jesus Christ, man. Like, you have one fucking job, dude. You can't even do that. Your job is just to fucking show up to the meeting.
So somebody suggested, somebody suggested that they actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Not include those 15, and therefore it's only 56 that you need to convict.
Yeah, that
Like you didn't show up, boom. You don't get a vote.
Yeah.
So Romney, Murkowski both said, let's listen to what C-SPAN has to say here.
Teams, and if passed as president, Senator Pro Tem will ask those questions. Let's take a look at one of the senators, White House Senator Bennett coming to the Senator Blumenthal coming to the stakeout.
Trying to draw a false, dangerous, and distorted equivalence.
Actually, I tell you what, because they probably will be about closer to 30 minutes, let's go ahead and take a break. Let's us meet back here in just a little bit. Sound good? Let me take a break. Let me get something on my belly, and then we'll be here for the long haul. Even though the Republicans might not take that long.
I don't think they're going to take that long.
But we will meet back here in about 10, 15 minutes, I'd say.
All right.
Shortly after the proceedings start again.
Sounds good.